So we'll leave our eyes closed for a little while, focusing in. So today's a really wonderful day. It's a eclipse day, a big one, the 15th. So things come and go. It's also called Sawagawa, Saga Dawa Day, which is a particular great day honoring Sakyamuni Buddha, and it's his birth, his realization, and death. And also, it is an unusual day. It's also the celebration of Padmasambhava, these expressions of the primordial guru, And as Namkhe Norpo used to suggest all the time, is that in honoring the guru, and we have many different teachers, many different holy people, you hold them and you unite them in oneness in yourself. So we'll do that right now. And always on eclipses, there's lots of energy. And on this particular day, whatever actions happen are powerful, powerful, powerful in results. Billion times. So we'll hold the great yogis, traditions, and then this is a poem from the Siddha tradition that goes back like this. This is from the Buddhist Siddha tradition. My own awareness is the guru, and in self-recognition I take refuge. The awareness of self-liberation is always present in everyone, though momentarily hidden. The primordial guru is always so pure, and this knowingness gives protection in every event and in every moment. When the widespread purity and the oneness of existence and appearance manifest, the blessings of direct perception take place. Direct knowingness, gnosis, jnana. The differentiation of the meditator and what is meditated upon dissolves completely. The always exist in truth of my innermost awareness, being the guru, provides abiding stability in the vastness of the all-pervading essence of events. My own nature as consciousness purifies and dissolves the very lack of knowingness. My body, my speech, and my mind are the very manifestations of this divine consciousness, just as they are. And the essence of all events are free of failure and free of success and free of rejection and free of acceptance. In this awareness, everything is the play of the essence, the play of consciousness. Repeat the mantra, Guru Om, Guru Om, Guru Om, and you will experience the body of light, which is the great transmigration Guru. That last phrase is really cool. The great transmigration Guru is you and me and everybody. So we'll repeat the mantra Guru Om for a little while silently. On this day, still leave our eyes open. Really glad everybody's here this morning and really happy how everything's going for everybody. All things said and done. We've been focusing a lot on the gaze, and we'll do that again today and next week. And then we'll be ending June. And then we switch things around a bit in June. People can come and go in July rather. And people can come and go as they like in August. And I think in August we'll focus a bit on Yen Qin Qigong one or two times. I have some really recordings of him being here and some other recordings. And we'll do that. And maybe we'll focus a little bit on Longchenpa's, one of his treasures called Words and Meaning, which is really the focus on the heart essence, the Amadine heart. Plus it's a busy summer with Amachi coming and the Dalai Lama coming and the Kala Chakra, which is, hope everybody can be there maybe for one day at least. Should be a really great event. The cosmic chakra, cosmic tantra. So you and I have been focusing within the gaze as the arising place of the gaze. Like this openness, in the sea of chi. And the gaze as the place of awareness. And sometimes it's useful, like method, just to consider your own self a place. Actually the place of awareness. The place of Rigpa. Primordial awareness manifesting in time and space. In you as you. By place, I do not mean, or simply mean, that understanding, reflecting where entities are located, like microphone in my hand or the bell on the table. Rather, more directly, the place of gnosis, knowingness, the place of direct perception, the place as openness, the spaciousness, the light of awareness in time and in space, in a body, in a mind, and the mandala of the unfolding, relentlessly unfolding, undetermined circumstances. The place that disappears from this life, and what remains is the pure place. The place is the place of the kayas, and also it's a place of singularity. It is a place of uniqueness. There's difference within oneness. There's a difference within oneness, like ice and water. It's a difference of a certain type. You guys follow that? This great awareness, the great expanse, luminous expanse, is experientially bound. Huh? I think the Hindus call it the pasu. Is that the pasu? Like you're bound by the neck. You're bound. So this great expanse is experientially felt, bound in a contained region of experience, right? It's contained. We want to get beyond the containment. A region in which we're open to the world and the world is open in us. By world, I mean the whole of being, cosmos, universe. It is out of this place that time and space emerge, and this place emerges in time and in space. There's this doubleness about awareness, huh? It emerges in time and space. And time and space emerge from within it also. This place has a dynamic character. This movement is unfolding, and it's not simply a static presence. It is stillness and movement. In this way, this place that you and I are is a happening. It's an event. It is a bringing forth, a coming forth of primordial awareness herself or itself within form and shape. You and I are the place of awareness, and awareness as a place. The forms and shape disappear, and the place remains. This awareness is multidimensional and at times may seem like a triangle. At first glance, you and I are contained in the mind, the tip of the triangle, like peeping out. Then behind us is this vast, infinite triangle. We're looking around in a mediated mind. Then there's an opening as we have awareness of the mind. So then from that little point, the triangle starts to open more. Then as this becomes, so in that transitional moment, in that in-between moment, there's more space and much less containment, uncontained. Then, in that in-between moment, we become aware of the in-between. We become aware of the transitional. Transitional becomes aware of transitional. Awareness becomes aware of awareness at that moment. And then it really opens to begin to experience ourselves and all human beings as fields. Opens. It opens both horizontally and vertically. Then the kaya is open, huh? Then in time, the kaya is open. And then it really becomes unbounded. We hold awareness and enter and we become awareness, becoming what we are. And in this becoming, we become the beingness of being itself. As we become awareness, first we're holders, right? And then we enter, it's around us. And then, slowly but surely, we become awareness, just like we all are. So the kaya's, the very nature, opens, infinitely opens. Translucidity opens. And this seeing into and through the appearance of the world as flesh, and then seeing through the apparitional dimensions of the cosmological, Sambhogakaya, and then the pure consciousness without name and form. Translucidity is the state of non-duality. And translucidity is non-duality within dualities. In essence, the place is translucidity. The freedom of translucidity is being brought forth, and it also destroys, it dissolves, both at the same time. It is benevolence and the fierceness of the great compassion. We'll leave our eyes closed, and I'm going to ask Anna to read her experience that she sent me. Would you mind? And sometimes people, we all have trouble sharing our experiences. Sometimes to hear an experience is much better than feedback. Right? Would you mind reading this?
Sure. Can you hear me? Okay. Hi, Rudy. As you began your talk, my third eye chakra began to open up. As I told you, I akin it to hitting a funny bone. It is a simple pulsing that centers between my brows. I sent that down into my heart center, and it was uncomfortable, physically uncomfortable, achy. That passed, and I started to radiate through my body inside to out and outside to inside. My body felt kind of lighter. First, there was a vortex inside, kind of spinning, then just radiating, pulsing out of my arms, front, back, all over. I heard my mind say, "This is happening." Then I heard it respond, "Yes." Laugh out loud. That passed, and I just sat in the experience. After a time, I came out of the pulsing. I think it was when it was time to begin gazing practice. I began by gazing up at the space in between, then straight ahead as you requested. I can't tell you how or why or what changed, but all of a sudden, I could see you and all around me as light beings, pure light. I looked left and right. I was surely in my body and seeing through my eyes, but looking at pure light beings. The edges of the light bodies had merged with the space in between people, the air, the walls. I could see clearly the light in everything. It was particularly strong with people and flowers, but it was in the atmosphere like particles of gauze, all connected. Seeing everything connected, by and of the same light, my heart center swelled, and I started pouring tears. It didn't leave, it didn't dissipate, it just was. I also realized I no longer had any need to blink. I could just sit, eyes open, full moons. The interconnectedness of all beings, of all non-beings, it was clear as day. My body felt at rest yet awake. I was present in my body the whole time. When you asked us to bring our past and future into it and burn it up, it was with fire, but with compassionate light, because I could see the light that I was bringing it into, and it is complete love. Even as I write that line, I began to feel choked up. When I attempted to share this experience with my group, I got choked up and didn't want to cry in front of them. I just wanted to report, but I didn't realize how profoundly my body was responding to the experience. Excuse me if this is rambling, but I needed to share with you.
So we'll stay with our eyes closed. More of this place that we are, as we enter deeply, or it opens, is non-local. It is actually here and there at the same time. That is why we can resonate and transmit that what we are. As you and I know, this is very, very simple and completely ordinary, although unhappily concealed so often. And so divinity is often seen only as an entity, and that within that view, human beings become entities alone. And this can be a source of annihilation, deprivation, and deprivation. Beyond words and letters, there's a transmission. The transmission does not belong to any tradition. It is the very nature of human awareness, and that is the Buddha. The Bodhisattva posture is the capacity to transmit awareness itself from one to another. And in that transmission, awakened awareness awakens awareness in the other. That's both wonderful and amazing. Human beings are fields within fields. Primordial awareness is both the circumstances and the experience of the circumstance. Primordial awareness is both the circumstances and the experience of the circumstance. The body, the human body, is energy centers, centers of energy and light. And the light expands the capacity to transmit awareness. It increases. To do this, one slowly but surely becomes field sensitive and relates to the field within oneself and within others infinite others. Field sensitivity can be sustained and maintained. Every experience can be experienced through the field. The field is liberation from locked-inness and solipsism. The field knows the field. That's sort of a catch-22. You got to be in it a little bit to know it, huh? So the field knows the field. And the field intensifies the field. Whatever is experienced within the field is naturally liberated. What is experienced within the field is naturally liberated. Everything, absolutely everything is within the field, and nothing is beyond the field. The field is the infinite plane of eminence. Even if it has different dimensions, it is all exactly the same field. Everything, all events, take place within the field of eminence. There's nothing to transcend and no place to go. Life, death, takes place within the very same eminence. The in-between, that in-between, opens us to the field. This field of being. The in-between can sustain the field, and the in-between is actually the openness of the field. And the light of the field. And whatever addictions stop us from being in the field, they can be metabolized within the field. Whatever dissociates us, pushes us out of the field, can be metabolized by the field itself. The focus of becoming aware of awareness, of gazing, as we've been exploring, is not primarily to discharge anything. The intensification is maintained. The stability of the intensity of the light. We assimilate it, we accommodate to it. At times plateauing, and then continuing in the oneness of extension and gaze. Continuity of intensity. The Bodhisattva experience is being in the field with both beneficence and the fierceness of the great compassion. This protection is within time and beyond time. Time is the manifestation of awareness within circumstances of the appearances as of flesh. That's us, Nirmanakaya. Also, Sambhogakaya has time to it too, its own time. Time is awareness itself in its manifestations. Time is awareness itself in its manifestations. Time is awareness itself in its manifestation. Time is awareness itself in its manifestations. The Kala, Mahakala. Timeless awareness in time, and time in timeless awareness is our method. That's our method. Kala, time, is the very manifestation of realization, and also it is the manifestation of concealment. The demonic, to use that word, is simply marigpa. It's the concealment of what is. Being becomes beings in time. Being becoming those beings, us, is time. Being becoming beings in time. How you and I relate to time, live in time, is the Dharma. How we relate and live in time is the Dharma. There are many traditions of energy and light. Some focus on the navel center as a center of stability. Some remain centered on the Dantian center alone. Some center on the top of the head, that opening, to the matrix point. And some center through the whole body with the heart as the opening of light as source. These are the heart essence traditions as found in Kashmir Shaivism, the Dzogchen tradition of the heart essence, especially as expressed by Longchen Pa, Hridayam, And in Qigong Yanqin as the heart-mind tradition. The heart essence tradition is also expressed in the Sufism, for instance, of El Arabi, great mystic Sufi. The heart essence is found in many traditions, including Gnostic Christianity, the heart of the Christ, the light. And also the medieval alchemical traditions was the heart essence, in that love was considered the alchemical substance. Those psychic and animistic traditions are mostly heart essence. And even many of the, not all the Tibetan traditions, but the Dutsi, they speak of the Dutsi, the sacred substance. And the sacred substance can be, sometimes the Du part is considered demonic, kind of dark, it's certain type of meats and stuff. But the essence that transforms it is love. Then you have the alchemical substance, I think the bodhicitta drop, or the mantras that reflect that. There's a variation within Tibetan Buddhism on these traditions also. Dzogchen ala Longchenpa focuses on the inner heart essence, and that's followed through the Nyingtik traditions. Hopefully we'll study his text, words, and meaning. The Christ consciousness is the tradition of the heart. The field of awareness is not easily institutionalized. And its presentation in hierarchical frames can be somewhat disguising. So we should know about these things. There's an opinion here, as its whole thing is. The frame is at times contradictory to equality consciousness. The frame is at times contradictory to equality consciousness. The hierarchical frame itself can conceal the reality of the capacity of transmission for all human beings. The hierarchical in framing can conceal, it doesn't have to, it can conceal the universal capacity. And it presents hierarchy itself as method. This particular challenge was the challenge of the early church, when who was the Christ was wrestled with, the directness of it, the experience, the immediacy of the experience, the universal experience, and then the transformation into hierarchical as a way of transmission. Much hierarchical expressions are leftover royalty and its aspirations. We really are moving into the Aquarian age. Here's a little a la astrology. Because at one time, in the Piscean age, Jupiter, which is very hierarchical, royalty, kings, queens, princesses, princes, healing, as well as spirituality, were wrapped in royalty, wherever, even little shamanistic tribes, the shaman was king or queen. As we go into the age of Aquarius with Saturn, that is deconstructed. Or as Earl Long said, Governor of Louisiana, a chicken in every person's pot. So there can be a self-destructive element that one has to be cognizant of, which often is the superego element in a disguise. The field is tradition. The field, traditions are field, and the field is tradition. There is the field and there's traditions of the field. It is mastery transmitted through time generationally. Tradition is mastery transmitted through time generationally. Tradition is not impersonal. It's not impersonal, but completely made up of persons relating through persons. Even as Sambhogakaya touches Nirmanakaya, it is personalized. Even as Sambhogakaya touches Nirmanakaya, it is personalized. The person was not an entity. The person was not an entity, but reflects the agency of awareness, the love of awareness. At times, navel-centered configurations can become non-personal. Sometimes hierarchy poses as mastery, and mastery is concealed in hierarchy. So it's not that simple to differentiate, is it? You guys follow what I'm saying here? Sometimes hierarchy poses as mastery. Surely you know that. And also mastery is concealed within hierarchy. Almost done. Language is the house of being. Logos is the manifestation of awareness. Words, symbols. Just like Anna's articulation just now. Symbols are the manifestation of awareness. Symbols are best known through the translucidity of awareness, not through the signifiers of the mind. That's how they're really known. As you and I know, there are many different levels of language and symbol, arising from vibration, sound, image, symbols, words, syllables, sentences. And I know many of you know, because you know about the nature of language, the 4 levels. There is language and symbols that arise from the body of awareness. And there's language that arises from the mind. They may even sound alike. The spelling may be the sound, but actually they're different, experientially different. Sometimes we integrate the mind into awareness, right? Integrating them, you enter non-conceptual awareness, then you integrate. And sometimes we suspend the mind to experience the self arising of language of primordial awareness. So sometimes we suspend the mind to enter awareness in its non-conceptualness, in its gnosis, and then we integrate the mind in order to be able to live in the field. None of this is once and for all. And sometimes we suspend the mind to experience the self-arising of language of primordial awareness. The words arising out of awareness itself, not out of the mind. Awareness manifesting words and symbols so directly. This requires suspension of the mind, thought-free state, in order to experience the manifestation of the logos, of the words, poetic words, as symbol, direct knowing. Say yes if this is making sense to you. So words as mind are mediated signifiers. The words arising out of the body is expressions of direct knowingness and or direct knowingness. That's why symbol is divinity. It is not an adjunct. It's not a thing. It is not a thing. Almost done. There's an ongoing commentary, sometimes associated with witness consciousness. This commentary is a consistent enframing of experience. It is a mapping of an experience which is pre-reflective. And it's really interesting because I'm focusing on this again today, because today, being Saga Dawa, is a day celebrating Sakyamuni Buddha, I always call Buddha, and his realization, which took place at the age of 35, and his teaching till he was 85, and his death. But also in the Pali scriptures, one of the things they emphasize is in fact this particular point. If the Pali scriptures emphasize, Theravada emphasizes the subtle levels of speech, commenters that must be dissolved to have the awareness arise in its complete directness. This mapping that takes place It's often pre-reflective. It's not like thinking it. It just takes place. This mapping is to give safety and security. And yet the very mapping tends to be very, very young, repetitious, concrete, operational. Often in speech, okay, and often even in speech, one may be a simple translator of the commentary. So sometimes I might be talking and I have this little commenting going on, and then I enter the commentary, which is not my own speech. It's not true speech. Germans call it Grede. It's not true speech. There's a commentary that I'm listening to, and now I'm playing it out. It happens a lot in social events, even very funny events. We can play that commentary out. Sometimes the commentary also is very, very abstract, and so abstract that there's no connection whatsoever to what is being commented upon. The commentary is not the expression of the subject of awareness. It is not expression. What we were just talking about, the arising of it's not that expression. It's not really an expression of secondary thought processes where we integrate the mind, and it's not the expression of primordial awareness gaining symbol. It is a commentary. It is a bit like a parrot. Hello? It is often a recall, a reconfiguration of memory that once worked. It really once worked. It was very necessary. But forever continuing its security operations to overcome that which is not understandable, since direct perception has been a bit nullified. That's a mouthful, isn't it? Translucidity darkens. At times, many forms of social interaction are often translations of the commentary, repetitious and redundant. The secret or hidden commenter is said to be a substitute for non-conceptual understanding and for conceptual reflection. It is a substitute of speech. Say yes if this is somewhat. You don't have to agree with it. This commenter often arises in times of terror and profound anxiety and becomes identified as a source of reality. So in difficult times, we all should know this, right? It takes one to know one in all of our experience in times of terror, in times of anxiety. The commenter actually served a really useful role. It helped give us some sense of reality. Say yes if you're following what I'm saying. But up to a point, and it is not necessarily really judgment in the truest sense of the term, but simply it becomes in time a redundant commentary reflecting an historical security operation, which as the light of awareness is dawning is no longer necessary. That's why we're talking about this. As the light of awareness is getting stronger, it is no longer necessary. Even methods like EMDR, which I think are great, actually these commentaries arrive and can be manifested in EMDR at times in very direct ways. Sometimes a commentary is a thing unto itself. Sometimes a commentary is a thing unto itself. That's the first thing I've been saying. And sometimes a commentary reflects a kind of primitive object relations or even internalizations that are not truly one's own. Do you know that? Can you feel that? It is not really one's own. Sometimes there's states of freezingness in one's body that you may think are your own, but actually may not be your own, but the other person who parental figure or whatever, was frozen. Sometimes it may be your own. But knowing that sense is really useful in what is being dissolved. The commentary can block. Though one time it was a icon of reality, a useful substitute of reality in a very difficult place. But then it becomes a block or a shield against the nature of reality which is being experienced directly. You follow what I mean by that? It is a kind of a parrot. Now, that is actually a good metaphor. It is a kind of a parrot. Not every dialogue you have. Would you mind reading your paper? Did you bring it with you? Okay, we'll do it next time, okay? So, Erin sent a little, an experience of a very beautiful discussion of herself, of herself with herself, as she expanded from, I use the phrase, holding awareness. Wait a minute, how can she hold awareness? It's infinite. So she enters into a dialogue around this, and you can feel the creativity as she goes beyond those limiting words, and she enters into the infinity of the experience through a dialogal. That is, so every time you hear dialogue, doesn't necessarily mean you're in the commentary. Raise your hands if you're understanding what I'm saying. But there's a certain type of redundant explanatoriness, you with me, that falls flat, cannot hold it, you cannot do it. And you will feel the difference. One has energy to it. One has more Shakti to it. One's expanding. One has more light, One, you can tell by what you're experiencing. Just like when someone shares an experience, you can tell the reality of that experience by what you're experiencing if you have some attunement, right? You guys following this? So, the commenter, do not go nuts over this. Do not worry about it. Do not take it too serious. You with me? I had to fill in space. But sometimes you want to know, how am I, meaning your own self, framing this experience? Because in framing is both useful and extremely dangerous activity when it comes to primordial awareness. Just like the word holding awareness. That word may be useful at a certain moment, certain time. But at another time, it is an impossible conjecture to hold awareness that way. And if you are holding it, you are blocking what is taking place. You guys follow this? That's why Swami Muktananda would say, meditation teaches meditation. So we're working on this. This is a very fine thing. But you're listening to the parrot, and not everything that arises in you. It's coming this way, and you hear these arising out of you, and it's so that arising out of the four levels of speech is Logos itself. It is a manifestation. Understanding is awareness. Symbols are awareness. Are you okay? Great. With that, we're going to now turn out the lights again, and we'll hold awareness. Are you okay with everybody? As the little places. Places in the sea of Chi. I heard that was a great empowerment this weekend. So happy. And is there I think there's a flashlight over there. Could I have that flashlight, please? Thank you. Voila, thanks so much. So let's focus back in. We'll turn the lights off. And I think, Diana, there's a little light right over there. It's a little flashy, little circle, right, the light right there. Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you, Skip. And then we'll press that little button on the computer. Let me just, okay, great. Fantastic. And then someone go upstairs, we might close that door and maybe turn off the hall light. Then next week, if it's really nice, we'll go out and we'll gaze at the sky, okay? So we'll meet here and then we'll go sky gazing. If it's halfway decent. And we'll go to the park near Heidi's house on P Street. Is everybody here? Let's say yes. What do you say? Yes? Great. Here we are. Good. So let's do the mantra Guru Om together out loud, just a little bit. We'll just Guru Om, 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 Guru Om. We'll suspend our mind. We'll extend through our bodies. We'll extend to each other. We'll extend to our friends on the internet. We'll extend to the ancestors. And all this is Guru Yoga, all the extensions of the light to the light. Will extend to the great yogis and all the different traditions who embody awareness so completely that the invisible becomes visible. And it's useful to think of them individually at times in your own mind. And then you unify them within your own body. As the Guru. When Swami Muktananda would say, wherever he went, he saw his teacher Bhagavan Nityananda. He was describing, seeing the light of awareness manifesting itself. In all directions. Then we'll extend to different traditions we participate in. And they mix in our bodies. We become universal beings. And the tribal frame dissolves. And we'll focus on that dimension that's so archetypical, so primal. The gods, the goddess, the deities, devas, dakinis, archetypes. And focus on all of them. And again, you can invoke their names yourself silently. When you and I are in awareness, then we have the power of invocation, right? We're just in a mind. We invoke them in our own self, as our own self. Having established ourselves in awareness, we're going to open our eyes, moon-like, and we'll gaze into the space in between. We'll leave our mouth open. And we're conjoining that which is naturally in oneness, or co-emergent, the gaze and the extension. And I know we all feel that now. And then as we're gazing, extending, we feel the place of the gaze opening more in our own bodies and beyond our bodies. Sort of here and there at the same time. And we extend our gaze and our extension. Wider. As we feel the resonance, we'll feel the back opening. And we'll focus for a little while on the Dakini, not with imagination, but as the nature of awareness. And we can at times feel her, that energy, in each other. Like passing through. Soaring. For a moment, we'll use the Dakini mantra. Om Ahung Yana Dakini Bam Maharinisa Siddhi Hung. We can say it if we like, in that invocational way. We're not really just saying the words. We're feeling the invoking, bringing forth. Om Ahung Yana Dakini Bam Maha Nisa Siddhi Hung. Om Yana Dakini Bam Maha Rinisa Siddhi Hung. We'll invoke her silently now. And we're invoking the Dakini for ourselves and for everyone we know. Wherever they're at. eyes open, pores open, mouth open. Now invoke the masculine side, the Haruka, and Pamasambhava. Whatever form you like. And bringing them into oneness in your body. Chakra Samvara. Chakra Samvara. Dosha Drola. Guru Rinpoche. Invoke the Bodhicitta mantra, or the mantra of the deities. 100 deities, and that's all. Omahung Bodhicitta, Masuka, Yana Datu A, and understanding bliss, overcome suffering. Omahung Bodhicitta, Masuka, Yana Datu A. Om Ahung Bodhicitta Masuka Yana Datu A. And then we'll invoke the fierce side. Om Ahung Rulo Rulo Hung Ong Hung. Om Ahung Rulo Rulo Hung Oh Hung. Rulo Rulo Hung Oh Hung. Oma hung, rulo, rulo hung, oh hung. Do you feel that mantra? If you equate rage and fierceness in your mind, we have to dissolve that connection. If you equate rage and fierceness in your mind, you have to dissolve that connection. And rage is impotency. And that rage is marigpa. Oma hung, rulo, hung ho rulo. Rulo, hung, rulo. We'll extend that to each other. when you're using these fierce mantras, Hung, Rulo Rulo, Hung Ho Rulo, Rulo, Heruka, Guru, and you feel fear arising. If you want, you can focus on the fear. It is much more direct in the light of awareness to focus on that which is causing the terror and the fear. Fear becomes nominalistic. It's okay in psychology, but in a certain true way, you go directly into the abyss with the fierceness, the light, whatever that might mean, health, deprivation, annihilation, the biggies. You focus. You are the Vajra Kalaya. If you just focus on the fear itself, you may be with a shimmer. You guys understand this a little bit? Focus on that. Worst scenario. That is the great compassion, which is the great protection. Another fierce mantra, Vajra, Ahung Pet. Vajra, Ahung Pet. Vajra, Ahung Pet. You can just feel it. Then you feel the pudra, the ray of light, as light. These mantras invoke the Dharmakaya. Let's lean into each other in this awareness field. Let's lean into our teachers, the gurus. Let's lean into the divinities, the archetypes. Holy Mary, Trumanagma, Kurkule, Eshitoga, Shiva, Shakti. Let's gaze into the past, feeling what stands behind us and through us. Let's gaze into the future. Dissolving that figment of imagination. Gazing now through the whole body, gazing through the heart. I'd like you to imagine you're unbuttoning your buttons around your heart. You don't have to do that, but as if you're unbuttoning your button, that center is visible in the flesh. Just make the gesture of unbuttoning the buttons. Gazing, extending, and with your own hand, if you don't mind, your finger, I'd like you to touch it with like you are simply touching and writing in your flesh through the chi, the Shakti in your fingers. Sealing. On this day of the eclipse, Saga Dawa. Or as Lord Buddha said, Gati, Gati, Gati. We can all say that together. Gati, Gati, Gati. Go beyond it, go beyond it. With fire, for light. Whatever that is. Do you feel the awe? Let's do it one more time. Let's write. we'll sit quietly for a little while now, just resting in the gaze. For a few minutes, we'll focus again on people we know and love. Here and elsewhere. Then we'll focus on all the different cities. So now we're going to stay in awareness for a while, and we're going to, if I can find my little flashlight, we're going to leave our eyes closed for a second, and maybe, Diana, can you turn that light on up there? We'll leave our eyes closed. Great, perfecto. That's great. And we're going to, but I'd like us to stay in the awareness state. We're in a natural state. And I'd like us just to easily break into threes. I'd like you to hold the awareness during the eclipse. And I'd like you to articulate your experience from within your body as much as you can in a thought-free state. Now, we're never going to be completely thought-free, so don't worry about it. But in the state of awareness, holding the gaze, totally naturally, we're going to share, and you can share just one experience of today, whatever that might be. So we're going to move in awareness. Groups of three, suspending the mind as much as possible, staying in a natural state. Is next week the last week of June? Okay, and the final week of June, we'll have a little Gana Puja. and soak. And it's a little celebration. And we'll talk about what that is and how people do that. It's like a little party. Okay. But today, we're holding awareness as awareness. And then we're going to talk from the place of awareness, from the gaze, eyes open or closed, describing your experience. There's a transmission beyond words and letters. Doesn't belong to any tradition. It's the very nature of awareness itself. That is the Buddha. And there is a transmission of words and symbols. Doesn't belong to any tradition. That's the very nature of human awareness itself. That too is the Buddha. That is Shiva. That is the Christos. Tao. We'll speak from awareness. We'll speak from awareness if we can. Okay. Friends, for a second, okay? I'm sorry to interrupt you guys. Must be my black outfit. I'd like you, the person who was talking, ask the people you're with, did they experience what you were saying? Did they experience? Or were you giving them information and a chat, like chatting up. Ask them what, and the people should tell them the truth. Okay, I'm going to pause again for a moment, okay? Was that useful for you? Pause for a second. Was that useful for you? And I'm going to pass the microphone to the people who are speaking. Was that useful?
Yes. Well, yes. Well, the feedback that I received was when I struggled with the words, the transmission and the articulation of the field shifted. It shifted into transmitting frustration.
Thank you so much.
And that was
so cool. Really great. Thank you. Who was the... Yes.
What am I doing?
You're going to describe what you learned from what they said to you, if anything.
Okay. What I learned from what they said was how unique everyone's experience is, and because they each reflected differently how they took in what I said. And it was, that was the main thing that I learned.
Totally cool. Thank you so much.
So I got similar feedback, and what I learned was that the place where I had somewhat of a charge internally, I was least. They received the experience in their own body the least, where I had no charge and was sort of in a pure state. They got it.
Beautifully said. Thank you so much. Who's here? Yes.
I think that when I was describing, it was very much in the body. A lot of what I was describing, I re-experienced it, and from their feedback, they experienced it too. Just, a lot of energy, a lot of vibration.
Thank you so much. And what did you learn?
Well, as I explained the doorway that opened for me during the experience, the same doorway opened for my partner.
Thank you so much. So beautiful.
What I experienced was the experience of the meditation of the gaze with voicelessness and experienceless, and talking about that in a way I had no way of articulating became a voice and became an experience and a connection.
Beautifully described. So artful. Great, thank you. Whoever.
After the request was made to say how you were feeling about the exchange, it was just a call into myself to sort of come back to just to notice that, and like, oh, how about paying attention in this way, and just really noticed that I did connect with each of the experiences, and also in sort of reaffirmed in terms of my own connection and being able to share and to be heard.
Who was the learner?
Well, when Jan shared her experience, she didn't get a chance to ask me for feedback, but when she was sharing her experience, I got this jolt of energy. It was like, whoa. That's all I can say.
Who was the person who was the learner? Who was the speaker? Were you the speaker?
I was the speaker after you said to,
Oh, okay.
while you were saying
okay, great. I got it.
transmit.
Great. Anybody else? Did you get any feedback when you were?
No, because we had already passed that.
Okay. And who's the speaker here? What did you know?
Well, this is a bit rapid fire, I think. So I was trying to describe what I was experiencing, and I think we also didn't get that one person was supposed to tell our story. We all did, so that's why we used up all that time. So I was describing how I invite meditation back when I wander from it, or when I first dive in, and that sort of blackness of space opens up. Yes, yeah. I think what I did is I started saying what happens for me, and then Anne kind of finished the story for me. We had the same experience, but she was sort of saying, and then ... Did
they give you any feedback at such? Did they give you feedback?
I don't think we got to that.
Okay. Did you guys give feedback to each other? Yes. Would you mind?
For me, the feedback was very helpful. Spence and I had been talking before, and we'd kind of woke up some similar energies. And so when he started giving me feedback about my experience, it just kept tying what we'd opened, and we were bringing similar kind of energy and experience. And then, is it Dan? I was thinking Dan. And then when Dan shared about how he received my experience, it just really magnified it. So it became like even more intense.
What did you learn?
Well, the one with Dan, what I was sharing was the feedback and the magnification of experience. So I learned that, And with Spence, it was more the resonance of experience and how we were in the same field.
Totally cool. Thank you. And whoever was the learner in this one? The learner, yeah, the person who...
I talked, and then they gave me feedback on their experience when I talked, so I'm the learner then. Well, to me, it was kind of a back at you thing, where I was talking about kaya gazing through all three kayas, and just the pleasure and joy and just fun of it. And then when I got the feedback, when Kate, she said, talked about the playing, the sense of play that she got. So then I got that back from her, where I was feeling that too. That just kind of, as Marianne said, kind of ignited it, exaggerated or increased it in me. And then Barbara said, yeah.
What's that like to feel that intensity increasing in your body?
Oh, it was more fun. It was more playing, and it actually felt more real because she could acknowledge it, and it was happening in her. So it was like I wasn't playing alone. I was playing together. There was a certain togetherness, a unity in that. Made it more fun. And then Barbara really woke up a part that I didn't realize. She said mastery. It's like you can take any situation and you're losing a little bit of, or what I said, losing a little bit of the Dharmakaya. I can put that in, and then I get all the three of them working at the same time, and that really struck me and actually created a sense of mastery in me, a sense of, oh yes, that's what I can do. And so again, I felt the master eat while I was doing it, and then when Barbara said she experienced it, it came back at me, and I felt stronger.
Thank you so much. Come in, please. Yeah, please.
I just wanted to articulate that I'm just really, I feel like the electrical current running through everybody. I mean, that this is really transmission, that this is, really transmission from the field. And what you just said about unity, it's absolutely beautiful, and I think it comes from a place from the heart with a lot of love, and I just think it's really powerful. So I'm grateful to all of you for making this happen.
Let's close our eyes just for a few minutes. We only have about 2 more minutes left, and we'll just focus in. And we'll just sit. We can rub our hands together and place it on our hearts. Thank everybody for being here, and we'll see everybody next week. Thank you.